Today I thought we would try something out a little bit differently. Normally when I make a video, I put a couple days time into it, just gathering all the footage I need and, recording the necessary audio and stuff. But today, I thought that we would do something a little bit different. I've been on a theme recently of covering the Batman Arkham franchise, and I thought while we're here, why not rank these playable characters from Arkham Asylum to Arkham Knight from worst to best, S tier being, this is the best playable character in the series, to D tier being why was this even in the game in the first place, to B tier being, it's somewhere in the middle. It's not bad, room for improvement, but not awful. So, without wasting too much of your time, we're going to get straight into it. Now, I want to set the bar high from the get-go. And Batman Arkham Knight's Batman is probably the best playable character out of the entire Arkham franchise. And that's simply due to the fact that the combat in Arkham Knight is just the best by far, and it's not even close. Batman from Batman Arkham Knight, I should say, is getting S tiered because he is absolutely phenomenal. Because there aren't really too many flaws within his combat that, at least not that I can remember. So he's going straight into the S tier. And I'm going to try my best not to fly through these. I kind of want to at least give somewhat of a detailed explanation as to why I do or do not like using certain characters. Now, next up here is Catwoman. Now, I don't know if this is going to be controversial. I don't know if this is going to be considered a hot take. But I'm not a fan of using Catwoman, neither of Arkham Knight or Arkham City, right? Her punches and her kicks and stuff are extremely fast, and I do like that. However, her takedowns are absolutely abysmal, both in Arkham Knight and in Arkham City. And in my opinion, she's going to get D-tiered. She's going to get D-tiered because of... Actually, you know what? I'll put her up to C, but I might change my mind later on in the video. It's better in Arkham Knight. I'll put her in C for at least for Arkham Knight. Arkham City is going to be a totally different discussion. Now, when you talk about someone like Robin, any variations from Arkham Knight are automatically going to be an upgrade from Arkham City just because the combat in Arkham Knight is overall better. Of course, in my opinion, but in everybody's opinion. Let's be honest, we all believe that anybody who you use in Arkham Knight would be better than if you use them in Arkham City. Now, Robin isn't bad, but I'm gonna be honest, he just feels a little bit awkward to use sometimes. And it's hard for me to kind of explain when it comes to, Robin and Nightwing specifically, but I'm just not a big fan of the way that Robin plays. His Predator section is very nice. His hand-to-hand combat, it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to put him in the B tier. It's not bad, but it's not great either. It's not nowhere near perfect. He's average. I'm going to say he's average, just in my opinion. Nightwing, I've never been a fan of using Nightwing. I like Robin actually a lot more to play as than Nightwing, because I think Nightwing feels a lot more clunky in the game. Whereas at least Robin has some form of fluidity to his combat. Whereas Nightwing just feels a little bit, to me at least, he feels a little bit sluggish. And I'm going to put him in the C tier here. But he is above Catwoman. Catwoman, we've already went through this, is awful. Next up here, we got Azrael. Azrael is basically Batman, just not quite as good, and I kind of wish that they added a little bit more variety to him to make him a little bit more unique. And I'm not saying there's nothing unique about him, but 99% of the stuff he does is pretty much the exact same as Batman, but it feels like there's something missing there with Azrael, and he has the potential to be on an S tier, but I'm gonna put him in the A tier simply because he's basically Batman. He's just not quite as good. Nothing beats the original, right? Now, Harley Quinn. I specifically do not like Harley Quinn in this game. In Batman Arkham Knight, I do not like her stealth sections. I do not like her hand-to-hand combat that much. And I don't even know why we're playing as Harley Quinn in the first place, right? I understand it's a cool concept, but in my opinion, Harley Quinn is, honestly, she's gonna get D-tiered for me. I don't like the fact that you can't do any stealth with her really whatsoever. Everything has to be loud. Or, the fact that she has detective mode, much like Batman does, and it feels like it's just kind of copy and paste of Batman, but just so much worse and so much more clunky and not really usable, at least not to me, right? Next up, Red Hood. Red Hood, he's okay. He's not bad. His stealth is actually pretty good in this game, I'm not gonna lie. His hand-to-hand combat, again, it's not bad, but it's just like a lot of these characters don't, it feels like that they just don't have any sort of uniqueness to them. It kind of just feels like, let's take Batman, but make him slightly worse in a lot of ways. But he does have a handgun, and that is kind of cool. You kind of use that instead of a batarang, you kind of quick fire a gun to kind of stun the opponent momentarily. So Red Hood's not bad, and I'm gonna put him in the A tier, actually. I do like him more than Robin, I do like him more than Nightwing, but again, guys, this is all my opinions. Please do not show up to my house and try to hurt me. I wouldn't appreciate that very much. Now, Batgirl, she's actually very smooth. I actually do like her combat a lot in this game. Again, it kind of falls into the category of she's like Batman, just not quite as good. Again, nothing, from me at least, nothing beats the original. And I haven't played Matter of Family for quite some time, but from what I remember, she's good. She's very good. She's just not Batman good, right? And I'm gonna put her in the A tier. I'm gonna say she's above Red Hood, though. I'm gonna say she's above Red Hood. I just think that she's a little bit faster than Red Hood, and also, I love the Matter of Family DLC so much. I understand that's not what this is about, but it's just gonna notch it slightly over the top for me. Batman Arkham Asylum Batman. He's very good, but let's be honest, this is the worst. And I understand that this was the first Batman, so by default, it will make him the worst because the combat improves in future titles. So, for me, this Batman is going to go into the B tier because he was still very usable. He still had pretty decent flow, but it wasn't the best. It was actually the worst out of all Batmans. And again, this isn't meant to be an insult to him. Batman for Batman Arkham Asylum was very good, but he's going to go in the B tier. He's going to go above Robin on this one. He was very good, just a little bit clunky for me sometimes, because Batman Arkham Asylum's combat was a bit clunky sometimes, let's just be honest. Now, Joker, I actually never got to use Joker. I was a Xbox 360 kid growing up, so I never actually got to use him, and I still haven't to this day. But I have seen some footage of him, and he doesn't look bad. Besides the fact that in order to go into detective mode, you have to stand completely still, I think that should either be a complete option or completely take it out of the game. But because I never used him and I can't give fair judgment of him myself, I'm going to put him in the B tier, put him in the middle. He looks pretty cool to use, I would love to use him. And I did use him in Batman Arkham Origins a little bit, and I know that's not the same thing, but he was very good in Batman Arkham Origins, so I'll put him in B tier. We're going to keep this fair. Now, Batman Arkham City, him and Batman Arkham Origins Batman are going to be very similar in this, right? However, I have noticed a slight difference in the combat, and I think Batman Arkham City's Batman is slightly better because the combat in that game feels a little bit more fluid. Arkham Origins sometimes feels a little bit off with its timing in comparison to Batman Arkham City. In Batman Arkham City Batman, I'm going to put him in the A tier because the combat in that game, it's not as good as Arkham Knight's, so you can't compare it to Arkham Knight's characters, especially the top four here. Nightwing and Robin, Batman Arkham City's Batman beats that. I'm sorry, but it just does. Now, Catwoman from Arkham City, this was the worst playable character for me. The worst playable character that I've ever used. And I'm going to go into this in the Batman Arkham City things it didn't do so well video, but For Catwoman, she's really quick with the hands, and I love it. She's fast with that, and that's good. That's about the only positive thing I could say. With her stealth, her silent takedowns take forever. You know, when you go to, like, break your enemy's arm, when you go to press E or, you know, whatever the takedown button is, the B and Y, where you get to 5, and then you can do the takedown. That is awful from Catwoman because of how slow it is. Ground takedowns are very slow. Everything is slow besides her hand speed and, like, her kicks and stuff, and, like, her, you know, when you press X to strike, her striking speed is very good. Everything else is just awful. And to me, she is the worst playable character in the Batman Arkham universe. She's going straight D, going straight bottom tier. Now, Batman Arkham City's Robin, again, like, this was okay. But for me, again, it was just average. It was worse than the Batman Arkham Knight version, just because the combat in Arkham City is not as good. And I don't mean to keep repeating myself over and over again. And it's hard for me to rank these characters while going into deep explanations without repeating myself over and over again. The one thing I do really like about Robin in both games is actually his bullet shield. That does really help you in, Predator sections. His hand-to-hand combat's okay, but it just doesn't feel 100% smooth. And because it's Arkham City, he's going to go to the top of C tier. He's going to be above Nightwing, because Nightwing here, in my opinion, is the second or third worst playable character in Arkham City. And, like, I don't know how to say it without repeating myself, but he is extremely clunky, awkward, and he doesn't even have any dialogue in Batman Arkham City, for God's sake. I think he was supposed to, but he just never got any. And for me, Nightwing, he's just kind of a nothing character. And he's worse than Robin. I'm going to put him in the bottom D tier, but, like, the best of D tier. I think Harley Quinn and Catwoman are just the worst characters. By far. By far. Now, we've covered every game's usable characters, except for Batman Arkham Origins. Now, this is where things get extremely interesting, because I mentioned earlier that the combat in Arkham Origins is, like, so slightly worse than Arkham City. It's not that much, though. It's not that much worse. Like, it's like 2% worse, 2 to 5% worse. And for a company like WB Games Montreal to have this be their first time making an Arkham game, they did a very good job. However, they didn't make any improvements from Arkham City. Like, I don't think there's anything in Arkham Origins that they do better in terms of combat than Arkham City. Besides maybe adding, like, new gadgets. Like the Deathstroke Batclaw thing. You know, where you can make a line and you can either hang enemies or you can make a wire across that you can walk across. I like that addition, but other than that, there's nothing new or exciting for me. Now, Batman from Batman Arkham Origins, he's slightly worse than Arkham City, and for that, he's going to go to the bottom of A tier, but he's still very, very good. The only thing that's wrong about the combat in Arkham Origins is just the timing is slightly worse. Other than that, it's equal across the board. And so he's going to be slightly worse than Arkham City Batman, but that's nothing to scoff at. That is still phenomenal. That is still phenomenal. Now, I actually just went and used Deathstroke and Initiation Bruce Wayne. They are both fantastic characters. Now, Deathstroke, in my opinion, he's good, but he's just slightly worse than Batman. Now, when you get him into a rhythm and you get going with him, he's as good as Batman. But it's when you're getting the rhythm going, that's when it's kind of clunky and awkward. And I know I've used the word clunky about 15 times in this video already, but it's just to illustrate the point that he's just a little bit worse than Batman. Not much, but a little bit worse. And I think he's going to get the top of B tier for me, because he's better than Batman Arkham Asylum Batman. Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. He's just slightly worse than Batman. And last but not least, we got Initiation Bruce Wayne. In my opinion, he's just as good in hand-to-hand combat as Batman Arkham Origins. And that would make sense, because it's the same guy, but you would think in Batman Arkham Origins, he would be slightly better. The only thing that's better about Batman compared to Bruce Wayne is the gadgets. A lot of the gadgets that Bruce Wayne has are similar to like Robin's gadgets. And I'm not someone who uses gadgets a whole lot. I do use them a bit though, just a little bit. But to me, he's like 1% worse than Batman Arkham Origin's Batman. And I think he deserves top of B tier. Like, he's very, very good. You could put him in A tier, and I would understand why. However, I'm going to have to put him in the top of B tier, because I also don't want to oversaturate A tier. And notice how the only one that went into S tier was Batman Arkham Knight's Batman. That's the very top of the bar. And I understand that some of these takes might be very controversial, but again, it all just comes down to a matter of preference and whatever you believe. So if you guys are going to argue down in the comments, like, please keep it civil, and let me know what you guys thought of this tier list. Let me know what you guys want me to do next, because I'm always open to new ideas. It doesn't have to just be Batman, it could be Spider-Man, it could be any sort of games that you guys want to see. So thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more content. We got lots more coming, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!